Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is try to get these two images to fit into this space a little bit better. And so what I'm looking at is a couple things: color and lighting, and then the actual shape of this piece. It's going to fit into this area right here. So I'm not going to use all this, but I want to use the best parts. So I'm just sort of, and I'm going to let this edge be the edge. And, this edge here is designed well, and it's great, especially for a concept piece to do it that way. But then in the end, sometimes just using photos and letting those edges work ends up being a little bit better because it's very natural and it's very realistic looking because it is a photograph. So first thing I'm going to do is select this a little bit better. I don't want this fence thing here because I don't have the whole fence, but also I just don't want to use it for the design. So I'm just going to select that out first and this edge over here. Delete that. Zoom back out. And just come over here and see how much of this edge that I could use. I'm also going to transform it a little bit into perspective. Maybe just consider using just this part here a little bit more. So I'm going to try that again. Okay, now I'm going to do a layer mask on there so that I can hide parts of it and get the shape right. So I'm just choosing a brush and I'll make sure this is set to black and white. And my mask is active. You can see these squares around it, and since I've chosen black to paint with, when I paint on this mask, it will hide areas. So now all I have to do is get rid of the parts I don't want, especially when I really don't want this section right here. Now, because I'm using a layer mask, I can always go back and add parts by switching back to white. Again, I wasn't sure how much I was going to use, so that's why I did it this way. And that's good. That's all I really need. I might switch back to black and just get rid of some of this. I'm going to switch brushes, just to something with a little bit more texture, because this edge is going to be blending in. So it's okay if the edge is rough. Let's see if we can try this one here. And I'm going to lower my opacity. Again, these are ways to blend edges, so it's not erasing everything at once. The opacity lets it build up gradually. And again, I'm still using a mask, so I could always bring that back if I wanted to by switching back to white if I took out too much. I do want to get rid of more of this edge, so I'm going to switch brushes again. Bring the opacity up, because I know I want that part gone right there. Then I'm going to zoom in and be more careful about the parts that I take out for this shape here. And then I'm going to zoom back out. I'm going to lower the opacity of this actual layer. So I'm clicking on the layer first. I want to lower the opacity so I can see through this a little bit and see the original drawing underneath, and go back into my mask And now I see where that edge is exactly. And I know how much to erase. I know how much you can get away with. And I'm just sort of going to follow that edge right in there. Bring this back. Get another texture brush and get rid of this section up here. And zoom out. And go back to the layer and bring the opacity back up. Just see how it looks. So right now, this bottom edge doesn't look great, but we can just sort of fade that out, just change that edge a little bit, because we're going to add something on top of here to overlap it. So we're going to let that stay that way for now. I just want to focus on the color now and see if we can get it to match and blend in. So I want to go back to the layer off the mask, and I'm looking at the background, the sky color as my aim. The color of the house, the trees, they're all in the same family, so that's where I'm going to go with this. And for now, I'm going to try a we will go into color balance. Actually, first we'll go into curves. And throw that color balance out for now. And this curves, we want to make sure it's clipped just to this layer so it doesn't affect the whole image. And I'm just going to play around with these dials. I'm going to pull these in to darken. We can also press on this little hand button here and then target an area like this, and then you can see the grid in my properties panel at the same time moving. So when I drag this down, this hand down, the levels adjustment is being made. So I'm able to target one section. And what's going to end up happening is this is going to end up getting really dark. Again, we're at nighttime, so that's okay. I might, if I wanted the light green to get darker than this part, faster, I would select this, which I might have to do if I really wanted to get really accurate. But for now, we're going to go with this and maybe do a little bit more work to it. I'm also going to go into the individual channels in curves and change some things. So I want this to go a little bit more towards blue. So I grab the blue and dial it up. If I was to go down, it would go more towards yellow. So we're going to go up a little bit. Go into the reds, bring those down more towards greens, or I mean cyans. Go to the green, bring that down more towards magenta, and maybe that's too much actually. So that's looking pretty good right there. And this is the main idea, right? So when I step back and look at this image now, the color is off. It's a little bit too purple and green, but the detail is great. That edge is photographically real, so it looks more believable than this side, which is painted. There's photo detail in here, but we want to use as much photo just as much photo detail as we can without having to paint over it. So now I would want to continue working on this. I want to go in and do a hue saturation change, and I want to clip it also, just like that, by clicking this button right here, and then just change the saturation level. So I'm going to bring the saturation down, take out the brightness of that green, and it's looking really good already. So it's not too bright. It's okay to have green in this image, I think, because maybe part of the road has live grass on it. We could always go in and change that in a number of ways, though. So that would be step one. I realize the lighting is a little weird on this, but we could change that too. I'm going to go back and work on this one a little bit now. I do like this placement on this side. So what I was thinking is, if it's not too much trouble, it might be worth selecting this house and just moving it over here a little bit more, off center. And then covering that back up. That might work, but maybe not. So we won't go into that too much. But if it's on a new layer, try it out. See if you can move it a little bit to the side so it's not dead center. Or maybe more to this side even. I'm going to try to use this cliff up here though. And I'm going to do the same process where I'm going to kind of like the scale, but I want to use some of these lamps because they're just very cool looking. So that means I need to select this edge out really well. And to do that, I'm going to use a different method. I'm going to make a new layer and fill it with something less bright. And now I have this on its own layer, and I'm going to make a really bad selection. So I'm just going to come here and select this stuff. Actually, I'll do it even better, easier way. Use the magic wand and select this stuff. Check contiguous. So I want to get rid of that, but I don't want to just trust this. I want to go into a quick mask and paint it out. So again, I'm using a brush and switching from black to white will allow me to see this edge a little bit better. I actually want to choose the parts that I want selected.